And good Monday evening, Pitt State football fans. Welcome to the Coach Tim Beck Show, presented by CDL Electric. Eddie Lomshek, along with the Coach Tim Beck, live at Chatters here, back this week after a bye last week. And that's the last time we need to do that, given how this past weekend went. But glad you're with us wherever you are on this somewhat wet night. But Pitt State suffering the first loss of the year, 43-25 at home to Washburn, and a lot on the line with conference and regional implications and all of those things. Big ball game and great atmosphere for it. But turns out Washburn, either more ready to play or wanted it more, or whatever cliche you want to use there. Just kind of a tough day playing from behind for a lot of it, and the offense a little slow to get going and ends in a loss. And the coach asked you on postgame the other day, do you think the bye week had any effect for that game?
You know, I really don't think it did at all. But, again, during the bye week, we felt good about what we were doing and had some really good practices. And we talked to our players after the game. If we want to point our finger to anything, we'll point it to Thursday's practice. We had a good practice on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then Thursday – Thursday needs to be a practice where you leave that day feeling really good. It's a polished day where you polish everything. And both sides of the ball, we just didn't feel good about how things went. And we're going to make sure this week, whether we have to practice a little longer than normal or whatever we have to do, but we're going to feel good after Thursday's practice.
Was there a point in that game in the first quarter that you thought, man, we're just not ourselves right now?
You know, when we won the toss and deferred, they took the ball. I thought this is working out just like we want it to.
Sure.
And of course we get a sack second play of the game. You're thinking, all right, here we go. We're going to get a 3 and out. They're going to punt. We're going to have great field position, but it didn't work out that way. They end up getting a big third down conversion, and then here they go, and then they make a great drive. And so, when you look back and you have 6 plays in the first quarter, it wasn't so much that. It was that we had 2 3 and outs with the wind. That makes it tough. And our offensive staff, we've been together all day, and we kind of hashed some things out about what, how could we done things different and those type of things. But it's very frustrating when they had 93 plays to our 50 whatever we had. And we just had so many good things that we felt like we could do, and it was hard to get to them because we just didn't have enough plays.
Yeah, that's when you can't see what they're doing to adjust off it, you end up going with a number of things. That said, so much to play for. Your leadership has been good this year. As you look back, was it obviously not any one fault, but kind of a flat performance again, whether it was Thursday or the week off. But how frustrating is that because how good you've been at home this year?
Well, first of all, we got to give Washburn a lot of credit. I mean, they came in here and played lights out. Semino was everything he was cracked up to be. Their defense is very good. They've got some really good players on defense. Their linebackers are good. Their D-line's good. Their safety makes a lot of plays on the run, and we did not keep them off balance really as well as we needed to, obviously. But we got to give them a lot of credit. They did a lot of really good things, and they just played better than we did that day. But there's so many things that you can look at, and obviously there's things that you would have done different when you go back. But again, when you look at the game offensively, and you break down, okay, we go to the last quarter, and from 9 minutes on, we felt like we needed to be in a mayday situation. We felt like we needed to score quick if we were going to have a chance. So you take the last 9 minutes of the game away, and you take the first quarter out of it. So you're really looking at the second and third quarter that we had where we really needed to get moving offensively. And so the game was really shortened. They end up having the ball for most of the game, and that's exactly what we kind of thought we were going to be able to do against them and keep it out of their hands. It was a combination of offensively not getting started well and defensively, not being able to stop them at times on third down, and that allowed them to go on some very long extended drives.
In that as well, your players were asked a lot last week about playing for a share of a conference title. Turns out could have won it outright because Northwest lost, and obviously within the region. Do you think some of that stuff and all the hype becomes a distraction at times?
Maybe Thursday's practice, maybe we were a little tight because of that. Maybe we were feeling that a little bit. And the bottom line is when you play in big games, you got to play loose, and you got to have the intensity, but you've also got to be able to play loose and go let it, go let it all hang out and go get after it. And at times we were just a little tight. But again, I keep going back to this, but the first drive, first play of the game, we felt good about the alignment, the formation that we were in. We felt good about it. And then we hand the ball to Bryston, and we just have a miscue up front, and we let a guy slant across our face, and we end up having a 3-yard loss. And we haven't had very many negative plays throughout the season. I would say better than we've been in a long time as far as having negative plays. And, if we just have to line up and play third and long all day and allow them to bring in another secondary player and take a defensive lineman out, the ball is not in our favor. And that happened to us the first couple of times. But there are just some things like that where we had some negative plays that hurt us.
Yeah, that's at any level. When you start changing the complexion, it really does make a difference. Fall to number 3 in the region, so all is not lost. Still have a chance to play for a share of a conference title and control your own destiny for a playoff game. So if you look ahead here a little bit, and we may come back to it, but shouldn't be any trouble, your guys being ready this week.
Well, they'll be ready. There's no question. And again, heck, we played extremely hard last week. We just weren't clicking. And we'll be ready to go. We'll have 3 good days of practice, and sometimes whatever they say, sharpen your focus or whatever it may be. But Pittsburg State, Missouri Southern's a big football game, and I know I was here the last time they beat us, which was in 1993, and remember it very well. And I don't care that what their record is or who they've lost to and all those type of things. They have some very good players on both sides of the ball. They have a very good defense, and we'll have to get ready to go because they have proven that they can play with anybody. And, if you don't believe me, just watch a little video on them and watch them be 24-21 with Northwest Missouri at the end of the third. So,
yeah, they've been right there in a number of them. We'll take our first break, come back, and we'll delve into that first quarter with Washburn. That more when we return with Coach Tim Beck right after this. Welcome back to Chatters and the Coach Tim Beck Show, presented by CDL Electric. Eddie Lomshek along with Pitt State head football coach Tim Beck. Big play for the Gorillas, and we'll get to that in a little bit. First, we have to draw a winner here, Coach, out of the bucket. Folks that kind enough to join us here, your chance to win free breakfast at Fat Daddy's Dine-In Only, includes drinks. Phil Scott, who else? Come on down. Phil. When Phil Scott doesn't win, you need to get to missions and pray because he'll I'm not putting that back in the bucket, Phil. You win once. That's it. So get that there at the end of the calendar year. Enjoy it. We'll do that a little later. Well, Coach, the game starts, as mentioned. You win the coin toss. You feel pretty good about that with the win the way it was. I talked to Coach Weimers on the field about the win. He said it's about a tenth of what it needs to be given how Washburn could throw it. But they do convert some third downs. That set a tone for the day. It's frustrating. You get a team like that, but not that you guys had letdowns or anything like that, but how big a toll does that take on you when you get them 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10, and they're able to convert them?
Well, we knew, they've been that way all year. I mean, they've found a way to do that against everybody. So we kind of knew going in that there was the potential of that happening. And, defensively, they worked all week. They spent a lot of time working on third down situations. And so, we had a couple times where we were there and just a little bit late. But Semino does such a tremendous job of throwing things on time. And when you go back and look and all the, third and longs that they were able to overcome, and we just had somebody a foot away from them, and he gets rid of it on time, and they were able to handle it and catch it and get a first down. So, credit goes to them again. They did a great job of game planning and coming in and finding ways to complete some things on third down. I thought, for the most part, defensively, we did a really good job on the run game. I mean, there was a couple of runs that popped that we had a call and this happened, but again, we had to take some chances towards the end and had a long run there at the end. But boy, I can think of a lot of times that we were able to go, stop them for no gain or 2 or 3 yard loss.
Then they turn around and get it, and no substitute for experience with the quarterback. And Semino was starting his 38th consecutive game, and something to be said for that. You eventually get a stop. You turn them over on downs, and they do give it to you. You get it at 33, and as you mentioned, you go 3 and out, and with the wind at your back, and big punt, they're pinned again. They do it again. You turn them over on down. So, you take 11 minutes off the game, and they've run 21 plays, and you've run 3, and yet it's a scoreless tie. Your defense ultimately did their job.
Yeah, exactly. They bent but didn't break, and we got the ball. We go 3 and out. We punt and we pin them down in there, and then here they go again. And then we 3 and out again. We get another big punt, and they were able to really control the clock. So it was just something that they did to us what we thought we were going to be able to do to them, and they did a good job of being able to grind clock, especially into the win.
You mentioned the defense, and so many times within, it seems, a couple of steps of getting a sack, and he's always checking the rearview mirror, if you will, and knowing when to get that. How challenging is that for your D-line against a guy like that you know you're going to get close, but you have good depth there, but, boy, you just got to keep chasing, don't you?
Yeah, you just got to keep going, and our guys done a good job of that all year. And like I said, we get a sack the second play of the game. I'm thinking, here we go. We're going to get pressure all day. And it ends up being the last sack of the day.
Yeah, 1 sack, a lot of hurries. He's knocked down a few times, but hung in there. You do get him turned over on downs again. Then, as you mentioned, you punt it away after 3 and out and have them at their own 14, and they get 1 first down. Then you finally think you might have some field position. There's a block in the back on the punt return, and it looked like kind of a delayed call. I don't know what the situation was with the officials. I'm not saying you didn't block him in the back, but and I'm not sure it made sense. I don't know if you remember that or what that seemed like at the time.
They said they had 2 flags, and they pulled one up or waved one and went ahead and called it on Sanchez. And it was. I mean, the first problem was we didn't have a receiver. We didn't have one of our guys out there covering their gunner. And so he was getting ready to go on late, and we were okay with 10. We didn't want to waste a timeout, and we ended up having that guy doubled, so we were okay on covering him. But he just kind of, probably hit him in the back. It was definitely probably a clip. But again, we really work our punt block and our kickoff return stuff. We work it hard because we all understand we've got some guys, John Brown, John Thomas, those guys that they have an opportunity to go score if we can get a couple of blocks. So it's a big part of our team, a big part of our game.
That backs you up to your own 16. Then you start moving the ball. You get a couple first downs, 4th and a yard maybe at midfield. You choose to punt into the wind this time. It's a good field position punt down inside the 20, but looking back, talk about the decision to not go for it.
That's a tough call.
It's real tough.
The third down call we felt okay about, and we just come up, a yard short or maybe less than a yard, and I just felt like at the time, because the way we were playing defensively, we were still playing well, that there was no reason to give them ball at midfield if we didn't get it. I mean, you've got to feel good about your 4th down conversions, what you're going to do, but on the other hand, there's a risk there, and there's a chance that you're not going to get it. So, pondered that one for a little bit, but decided to go ahead and punt it away.
Well, you pin them inside the 20. They end up having an 8-play, 81-yard touchdown drive. They brought their backup tailback in. It had a big, long run, and Cooper and his name was McPherson, and they're both pretty powerfully built. Did they seem like similar guys to try and tackle?
Yeah, Cooper's fast. I mean, he's really fast, and McPherson's a young kid that played well the game before. I mean, he's had a couple of really nice games, and with Vershawn Moore not being there, he's been forced to step up and play, and he's done a good job.
Well, they end up scoring on a 4th down play. Tight end, have that 6'7" guy, Mertz, and play action on 4th and 2, an 18-yard touchdown. How difficult is it dealing with Washburn's play action game?
It's tough. I mean, it's something they worked on throughout the week, and we had a guy in position. He was just able to get right over the top of him and make a good play. Again, we weren't in too bad of a position there, and the linebacker got where he needed to be. He just was able to throw it over the top of us.
And you have a big tight end yourself. How nice is that to have down around the goal line?
Well, it is, and we missed a 2-point conversion later where we had our tight end open, and if you can, kind of have an idea on getting the safeties and corners out of the way down there in the red zone and get the tight end isolated, boy, it can be tough to cover. And it's something that we talk about every week, trying to get our tight end isolated on somebody, and they're tough to cover in the red zone.
Well, Washburn kicks off. You get it out to the 15, short return for John Thomas. 1 play and a fumble, and from upstairs it looked like Zach let go of it about the time Bryston did. And is it a miscommunication thing?
No, it was we ran the zone read play again, and we got penetration off the backside, and so Bryston, as he's going through the mesh, he makes a cut because he feels the pressure getting ready to hit him, and so he cuts away from the ball. Okay. And so he wasn't all the way through the mesh, and that's where the ball got on the ground. everything else. His initial path was good. He just feels the pressure, and again, we got pressure because of a slant coming off the backside that we didn't handle very well. And he cuts away from him, and that's why the ball's on the ground.
You know, and that's a thing about that mesh point where that quarterback and the back may have it simultaneous. And you talk about a soft squeeze by the back. Is that a deal? You can't do enough repetitions to get those guys comfortable with one another?
Yeah, you're exactly right. You can do it over and over and over again, but you've got to continue to work it. And, again, it's just one of those things where it hasn't been an issue before because we haven't had somebody get penetration like that off the backside. And he felt the pressure coming and started to cut away from it, and he just cut too quick.
Well, there they are with it on the 13, one play after they score, and you're kind of holding your breath. But to hold them to a field goal there, how big is that?
It was huge. You know that's what you got to think. Okay, let's make them put it on a tee here and hold them to a field goal. And, again, defense did a good job. We were bending but not breaking and forced them to kick a field goal. And that's what we needed by our defense at the time.
Well, middle of the second quarter, down 10-0, and it would turn in a hurry for the Gorillas. We need to take another break. When we come back, we'll talk about a couple of plays, special teams, and defense that would give Pitt State their first lead of the day. So stay with us. Adam Moore, when we return with Coach Tim Beck right after this. Welcome back to Chatters and the Coach Tim Beck Show, presented by CDL Electric. Eddie Lomshek along with Coach Beck. Big defensive play. We'll talk about that in a moment. Out of this break each week, we give you the Gorilla Nation Mobile Fan Club Trivia Contest, sponsored by Vital Signs. You need to be a member of the texting service and get a chance to play along all year, Monday nights throughout the school year, player of the game voting for football and basketball. You get this texted to you, multiple choice, and send in your answer, and they'll let you know if you win. Tonight's question, Pitt State, a long streak of victories over Missouri Southern on the football field. How many consecutive times have the Gorillas defeated the Lions in their all-time series? Have played 43 all-time meetings. How many consecutive has Pitt State won? The options are 15, 16, 17, 18, or none of the above. Dan Wilkes will let us know a winner on that a little bit later. Draw another name there, Coach. Another free breakfast from Fat Daddy's on the line. Drink included, dine-in only, expires at the end of the calendar year. Jim Tarter, come on down. Jim's talking and doesn't hear me that he won. So tell Jim he won. Jim Tarter, our winner for our free breakfast. So come up here and get that and enjoy that. He's put in his hours here, so he can glad to have him win that. We'll draw one final one a little bit later in the show. So your defense does a job, Coach. 10-0 keeps you there. And then the kickoff return from John Brown. There was no doubt he was bringing that out. And their kicker didn't kick it real deep with the wind but just looked like he just started middle and then came to your sideline. What'd you see there? About your 30 when it really opened up.
Well, Coach Pierce did a good job setting that return up. It was a different return than we've ran all year. And we had a good idea where they were going to kick it. And we had worked a lot of kickoff returns last week. But it was what we called a dog return and ran it kind of the opposite way we normally ran it. And John takes it. It's a good probably 3 yards deep. And then he's going backwards when he catches it too, so he's basically at a dead stop. Yep. And then he picks up speed pretty fast. And he started vertically and then breaks to the right and got a big block, a couple big blocks, and was able to get down our sideline. And then the kicker had more than an angle on him, and he just ran right past him. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah, high step there about the 40, and I was afraid that kicker was going to hit him with that club. He was wearing that cast. It was not a soft cast on his wrist. It went up above his elbow, but I know Aaron McConnell said he'd love to have one of those when he played. He used that as a D lineman. But, with John Brown and that return, do you, by design, do you have, I guess, different ones that are some you hit a point right away, but others you start one way and come back the other way?
Yeah, Coach Pierce likes to call it drawing the blood. We try to get, start it in one area and try to pull them down and then work, away from it or opposite of it sometimes. So, we kind of work on that, and he did a good job of taking it vertically first and then getting, then going to the right. So it was well set up, well-designed play.
Is that a fine line between, how far you go one way that they don't get too close to you before you break?
Yeah, on that one especially, you got to be careful because we were really going back across the field, and they like to kick it in where they did and then kind of, work people back into the boundary on you. And so we purposely ran our first return right back into it to kind of help set it up. And, we wanted to work back into where they normally wanted you to run it to. And so we ran it in there the first time, got a decent return, but that helped set it up the next time.
You know, my comment about John eventually, I think, was that all men are not created equal. That you've had, you know, a Ronnie West or guys that make plays, Jermaine Carpenter, and that his ability kind of, you know, make some moves on a dead run. And you know, Caleb Farabi had that a little bit, but how special is John Brown?
He's very special, and he's deceivingly fast. I mean, he can pick up a lot of yards in a hurry, and it doesn't necessarily look like he's always running that fast, but man, on that kickoff, he was running fast, and it didn't take him very long to get from one end zone to the other. I know that. I don't know how long the time was, but it wasn't very long.
Yeah, it was 12 seconds. I can tell you that exactly. 5:53 to 5:41. So
12 seconds, and that's counting. As soon as he caught it, he was stopped. And
3 yards deep.
And 3 yards deep. So he ran, 103 yards. Plus he ran vertically for a while and then made a cut. So he probably ran, 115 yards in 12 seconds.
Time me with a calendar. You time that guy with a stopwatch. That's pretty good. Well, it gets better in a hurry after that. You kick off. Second play, you get the fumble by JR, scooped up by Paul Robinson. You know, we talked with Coach Weimers last week or 2 weeks ago. You weren't here, but J.R. Jones plays that position. You don't get a lot of stats. You don't get a lot of glory, but he plays it well. That's got to be really rewarding to see him have an impact play like that.
Absolutely. He's had a really good season for us. He's played very solid. He was our defensive lineman of the week by our coaches this week, and he's had a really, really good senior year. And JR's had to work extremely hard to get to where he's at, and that was a really nice play by him, and good job and good awareness of Paul to scoop it and go score.
Yeah, he's gone through a lot with some health stuff, and then to stick it out and be where he is on that play. They were kind of running that, at times a counter, but kind of a stretch play or a hand sweep. And for a guy on the down line, he's big, obviously compact. What did you see from him that allowed him to get off the ball and get through there?
He was just able to beat the guy blocking him. Anytime you zone block somebody and they get penetration, then you've got problems. And you saw us last year run a lot of the outside zone schemes, and we just never been real good at it. Other teams do it very effectively. Coach Rampy did it very effectively at Blue Valley, but we have never been very good at it. And that was one of those where they're trying to reach him, and he's able to get penetration and go get a hand on the running back.
Paul Robinson scoops it up, and he had the defensive score at Hayes as well. Gets another one, and that's one that. Sometimes you talk to your guys about falling on the ball, but that was kind of out in the open. You'd love to see the scoop and score there.
Absolutely. Sometimes, it's hard to always tell if who's right behind you, how close they are. But, boy, if you get the opportunity to scoop and score, that ends up being a great thing for us. And, there we are. We jump ahead after the awful quarter that we had just had, and we end up being ahead. It just didn't quite feel right, but, therefore, it didn't last long either.
And then you get an extra point blocked. What happened on that?
Just got penetration inside one of our guards. Been really solid with that for the most part all year, and just got some big penetration. And again, they've got some good defensive linemen, and they're aggressive and was able to get through there before our offensive lineman gets his inside foot down, and we got penetration, and they were able to block it.
They come back, 7 plays, 53 yards. You're kicking off into the wind. You kick it high and short. Obviously, you hope that allows more time to recover. Couple of times, though, they returned it out over the 40. Is that a little disappointing?
Yeah, we talked all week about should we squib it, should we pooch it, should we, their kicker was phenomenal at pooching it, which we worked on all week, but it didn't work out very good for us.
Yeah.
But we talked about, and Coach Weimers, as coach our kickoff team, does a great job with them and just decide, we're going to kick it deep and go cover it the best we can. And we may have done something different if the wind was blowing harder than it was, but, just decided you kind of got to pick your poison. The other chance you take, you worry about kicking it out of bounds if they automatically get it on the 40.
Yeah.
So it's a tough call. It's a tough call sometimes on kickoff on exactly what you're going to do and where you're going to kick it.
They get it at the 47 and eventually score another tight end. This one across the back of the end zone, a little drag route and 3-yard pass. I think it was 3rd and 1, so another short yardage situation on the goal line. And I think he's a left tight end, ends up dragging to the right. He made a nice catch, but again, is it just play action freezing the linebackers?
Yeah, it really was, and he just they just do a really good job of the play action and 3rd and 1, you've got to defend the run on that situation, and so again it gets the tight ends isolated and they're tough to cover.
At that point, it's still only 17-13. You trade punts. You get the ball at your own 40 after a punt and a good return by John Brown, under a minute to play in that field position. What are you thinking at that point?
That was another tough call.
You are going into the wind.
We are going into the wind. It's another tough call, and if you get the ball at your own 20, you kneel on it and you go to halftime. And our coaches said, "What do you think? Should we go?" When we discussed it back and forth, and okay, well, let's do something safe on first down, and then we'll see what we get, and then we'll decide if we're going to go ahead and mayday it and try to get down there, because we have shown that we can go down the field and score with a minute to go. And so we run the safe play, throw the screen, and go pick up 12, 14 yards. I don't know how many, but pick up some yards. And then they were able to strip him and get the ball loose. Ball pops down on the ground. They were able to pick it up and score, which was a huge play in the game because it really was tough on momentum.
Yeah, it's not obviously literally over at that point, but you go from being down 4 to down 11 at halftime, and 1 score, 2 score. There's a lot of game left, but did you see an effect at halftime on your team that play had?
Yeah, no question. They were, they were awfully down about that, and just frustrated. They were really frustrated offensively on how we'd played in the first half, and then that was kind of, here we go again. We're handing the game over to them by a careless fumble, and they're able to scoop it and score. So they were really frustrated, but. Again, you go into halftime and you talk to your team. We were down twice this much. We've been down twice as much as we are right now. So we're going to get right back in this thing. But we've got to go out after the half. We've got to go out and put a drive together. And we were able to do that. We just weren't able to cash in on it.
19 total plays. That's it in the first half. That can't be anywhere near what you needed.
No, absolutely not. We're gonna. I don't know what our average is, but I know it's probably over 70. And here we are at 19 and a half. And so, again, very, very frustrating because they're just – with what we do offensively, we need plays. We have to have plays. I feel like our coaches always do a really good job of making a few minor adjustments at halftime. And when you're looking at 19 plays, there's so many things as far as formations, personnel groups, plays that you haven't even been able to do yet. And so there wasn't a whole lot to talk about. We knew – what we did wrong on the plays that we ran, and there wasn't really, we couldn't really even adjust anything because we didn't have enough plays in.
Washburn ran 44 or 45. One time they get it at your 13, you hold them to a field goal, then they get a defensive score. How'd you feel with your defense in the first half?
I felt like defensively, again, that they had kept us in the game. We were in a situation where, we hadn't done really anything offensively. We were able to go score on a kickoff return. And we were able to scoop and score, and so we just hadn't got things going. But defensively, even though we had given up a lot of plays and a lot of possession time, we were fine as far as keeping them out of the end zone for the most part.
When you're down like that, you mentioned overcoming things at Northwest. I think the leadership's been pretty visible and genuine for this team. Do you have some guys that are vocal leaders that want ownership of this team?
Oh, there's no question. Our seniors have done a tremendous job. They do a great job. We've had a tradition that we've done forever and ever. We have meetings on Friday night, and Coach Weimers will talk to the defense, and Coach Rampy will talk to the offense, and then our seniors will run our 10 o'clock team meeting. And it's very evident with everything that we've done up to this point that our seniors, that all of our players really look up to them and really think that they, that look up to them as far as what they do on and off the field, and they've done a tremendous job of leading them ever since we were able to play in the Minor Bowl last year. It's been a great job by them ever since then.
Well, that extra practice time put to good use and the momentum it's provided, but not enough on this day. We'll take another break, come back. We'll look at the second half, wrap it up that Washburn game. So that and more when we return with Coach Beck after this. Welcome back to Chatters and the Coach Tim Beck Show, presented by CDL Electric. Eddie Lomshek along with Coach Beck. One of the exciting plays in the second half is the Gorillas made a push after falling down big, and we'll get to that in a moment. We asked you a little bit earlier about the Vital Science Trivia Contest. What's the long winning streak currently Pittsburg State has over Missouri Southern? Played 43 times all time, and the options were 15, 16, 17, 18, or none of the above, and the answer was 17. Pitt State has won it every year since '94. It's been competitive in recent years. Last 4 by a total of 21 points. Craig Little of Pittsburgh knew that. Gets a pair of tickets to Saturday's Sonic Miners Bowl, courtesy of Pitt State Athletics and Vital Signs. To join the Gorilla Nation Mobile Fan Club, text Gorilla Fan, all one word, to 66937. You get a confirmation text in return. Again, you can play along all year on trivia Mondays throughout the school year, and also player of the game voting for football and basketball throughout the respective seasons as well. So, Coach, down 11 at half. You mentioned it, moving the ball. Start at second half, get it at your own 22, and 4 first downs. You're moving it down there. Eventually, there was one play, I think it was first down, maybe inside the 25, that kind of didn't go anywhere, and it disrupted the series. And then, of course, a sack where Zach gets caught trying to scramble and sets up a tough field goal. You decide to go ahead and kick it. It looked like he hit it well, just missed it a little bit left.
Yeah, and again, that was a drive that we needed to go get points out of. And, we got down in there and got close and then ran zone read, and they ended up bringing extra pressure and was able to, take the dive away and then put somebody right in Zach's face, and he was trying to get out of it and ended up losing some yardage. So go out there and kick the field goal, and Chase, we weren't sure a week ago. The off week helped him a lot because he had a pulled groin in the week before, and so he was not able to kick the all week of bye week, and we didn't kick him Tuesday. I think we waited till Wednesday of that week to kick him. So hadn't got as many kicks in as normal, but it's just one of those things, trying to kick against the wind, a little bit tougher.
Well, you end up missing that, and then they get the ball, and then they really played some keep away. You mentioned on post game the third quarter went by in a hurry. They had 2 drives. They both ended in field goals, 25 total plays in about 10 minutes off the clock. In between there, you had 1 first down and a 5-play possession, but you look at that, and you're down, after that second field goal, 30-13. With the fourth quarter still to play, you're in it. But, boy, again, your defense on the field a ton. And to hold them to a field goal still did a respectable job.
Yeah, they really did, and we just – we were just relying on them to grind clock, though, and so we were able to keep them out of the end zone. We just, they took a lot of time off the clock and really got to the point where, okay, you're kind of starting to calculate in your head, okay, we're going to get the ball, how many possessions here in the fourth quarter. And as you watch the clock just ticking away, okay, maybe at one point I'm thinking, okay, we still have 4 possessions, and now it looks like maybe we have 3 possessions, and, maybe – and so then you get to the point where, well, if we go out there and just break the huddle and do the things, we're going to take too much time. So we got to eventually get them to a Mayday situation and go full steam ahead and try to score as quick as we can.
That second half, they went to work on third downs. They ended the game 10 of 20, 12 of 25 on third and fourth down conversions combined. They're plus 12.5 minutes time of possession. Is there a point that you felt defensively you just didn't know what to call against third and however long?
Well, the other thing that's calculated into the whole deal is our defense is used to playing 50 or 60 plays. They're not used to playing 93 plays.
93, yeah.
And so we're getting kind of war slick out there a little bit, and we were able to rotate some people in and out. But people like Nate Dreiling, he's going to be out there every play, and Luke Stringer, they're dragging a little bit. So it took its toll a little bit. We just sometimes you might have been better off to give them a first down on first down and then come back and try to stop them next go around, because they were extending their drives by, converting some of those third downs. And we did a nice job on some of them, but when they're 10 of 20 and then, get a couple of fourth down conversions in it and the amount of clock they were used, it just made it tough.
Yeah, there were, I don't know how many times 3rd and 8 and they get a 10-yard hitch or a square out or whatever. But, well, it would really turn when it's 30-13. They kick off high and short into the wind, and you have an up back at the 30, and he steps up and the ball hits behind him. You fail to cover, and they get a touchdown. And worse yet, it would happen again. Were they similar there where you failed to cover the kickoff?
Very similar. The first one, John Thomas is hollering for me. We worked on it throughout the week, and he's hollering for him. But, again, because of the wind, possibly because of the wind, Tyler Disney was not able to hear him, so he needed to move forward and get out of the way. And he doesn't hear the call, and John goes ahead and gets it, but then gets hit and gets it knocked out, and that's how they recovered that one. And then the second one, we scooted we had everybody scooted up a long way. We had our deep return guys at the 20, knowing the ball was going to land at approximately the 30. And just in case they did try to kick one over the top of you, which would have been hard for them to do, but we scooted them all the way up to 20, and then John just felt like it was going to hit and bounce towards him, and he needed to catch it in the air, and he knew it as soon as he did it, but that dadgum thing hit the ground and pulled back like you were hitting a Balata golf ball. It came straight back for them. So, just one of those things. Just didn't handle it well.
You mentioned Disney. Is there a general rule of thumb on how much freedom does he have versus how much of it's on the deep guy to call him off?
Well, we worked it throughout the week. We had Disney and Castaneda were the guys that they would possibly catch those, and so we used the old jugs machine that we got last summer and worked it several times throughout the week and then catching them. And Disney never dropped one all week. He was just in position, and you tell them not to back up. Listen to the guy behind you and don't ever back up, And so it just is one of those, it was in a funny position, and he wasn't sure if he should try to go ahead and catch it or move forward, and then John makes the call, and everything's bang, bang from there. It just happens in a hurry.
Is there ever a deal does Disney have the freedom if he's in doubt just to call a fair catch?
Oh, yeah, and that's what we worked on all week, was catching it, going ahead and making a fair catch. It was just one of those things where it was basically right on top of him, and John's making the call, and he needed to go ahead and go forward and go collision somebody to give John a little bit more time, and he just didn't hear the call.
Well, that would make it 37-13, and it kind of shock setting in at this point with 9:05 to play, and you end up getting on the board quickly. A 3-play touchdown drive, 32 yards, Dickey to Brown, and just a straight go route on that?
Yeah, there's a lot more that goes with it with our inside receivers, so we have a lot of options with it, but we have vertical route on the outside, and was able to kind of catch a corner there and get him behind him, and it doesn't take much. If he gets a step on you, he can run past you in a hurry. So, nice throw, nice catch, quick score, and that's exactly what we needed.
And there's a point in those, I don't know if that one or the other one, whichever one, that John seems to realize the point he's going to beat him, and he starts waving his hand, make sure Zach sees him to do that. Then the onside kick, you guys are offsides. I've never seen a receiving team offsides on an obvious onside kick, and then you end up getting it anyway. Josh Heimerman able to dig it out of there for you.
I thought maybe they felt bad because of the first onside they called, so maybe they called onside on them and just kind of even the score a little bit. But, it was amazing. Our kickers, both of them, do a tremendous job of the surprise onside. And so when they take that full speed approach, it's really hard to tell that they're going to onside it. And they pound that thing in the ground, and boy, heck, it's 50-50 then on who's going to get it, And so, I haven't watched the first one to see if we were offsides or not. We must have been, obviously, but it worked. The next one was another good one, and we were able to get it.
Well, you score quickly again. 4-play drive, 41 yards from Zach to John, and that's a tumbling catch at the 2 or 3, and just somersaults in. And first one kind of in stride. That one looked like it was just out on his fingertips, and he's able to pull it to him.
Yeah, it was way out there. I mean, it was where it needed to be past the corner, but John really had to stretch out there and get it, and was able to catch it and make a front somersault and into the end zone.
First time you score, you're down 24. You need 3 scores, 3 2-pointers. It makes sense to go for it. Second time, you're down 12. If you go for 2, it's 10. Obviously, if you go for 1, it's 11. It's still a 2-score game. Talk about the decision to go for 2 down 12.
We just felt like we needed to go for 2 to try to get it to 10. That's another thing. You work on 2-point plays. Well, we had 2 or 3 2-point plays that we had. Plus, with the bye week, we had to spend some time on really 3 2-point plays that we felt really good about. And so, at the time, we just felt like we should go ahead and go for 2 to try to get it to 10. And so, both our calls I thought were good calls. We didn't convert either one of them, but had one little issue on John Brown's pass, but the wide double cross to Briston was wide open.
Yeah, how frustrating is that when you execute it and he gets wide open and then it just looked like a shorted him? Could you tell on film if it did hit the ground?
Yeah, it was really hard to tell. As he's going down, you can't really tell. But it was one of those deals. We had him. We just didn't haul it in right.
Get Zach in the weight room, throw it a little harder, I guess, next time. Then you go ahead and kick it away. It ends up being a touchback. Washburn has it. Second play from their 20. They get a big gain. They're out across 40. Elijah Olabode beating on the slant, holds on, gets a strip. Nate scoops it up. I said, if Nate wasn't such a klutz, he scoops and scores, but a knee goes down. But still, to get it right back then, that very much a part of the game.
Well, as fast as we were scoring, and then able to get the ball back. And I didn't see his knee go down. I did off the video. I saw it go down.
I thought it did.
But and man, if he could have scooped it and picked us up some yards, it would have helped too. But boy, they had it had to put them in panic mode a little bit as fast as we'd scored, and because the game looked like it was out of reach, and we come roaring back. But we just weren't able to finish it.
And then you turn it over on downs, and so you get that opportunity at their 41. Had one first down, but then turn it over on downs at the 25. And I don't know that gained much even in that next 4 snaps. And then, of course, the big, long touchdown run. And you see that sometimes late. You've played a ton of snaps on defense, and everybody's crammed at the line, and just no second level there, it looked like.
Yeah, it happens. We brought a couple people off the edge and just didn't get people in the right positions. And, we've done it to other people, getting our rhino set, and they know you're going to power it in there on 4th and 1, and then maybe run just a little simple block down, kick out, and get a seam and lead somebody through, and that's basically what happened.
Well, the 74-yard touchdown run that iced at 43-25, under 5 to play. Pitt State would end up failing to cover again. Then Washburn turned it over on downs at the 1, and then a long drive ended with a pick, 7 seconds to go to drop the first game of the year. We'll take a final break, come back, and turn our attention to the Sonic Miners Bowl with Missouri Southern in town this Saturday. Back to Chatters right after this. Welcome back to the Coach Tim Beck Show, presented by CDL Electric. Eddie Lomshek and Coach Beck. A few more minutes here. We have one final giveaway, and it's a good one, $25 gift certificate here to Chatters and the House of Wings. And Jan Tarter, come on down. You can buy your husband dinner there, and if you wish, or buy Phil Scott dinner. He needs it, right? You can enjoy that. So thanks, everybody, for being here, and thanks to Ahmad and his staff for the giveaways. Coach, Missouri Southern and Sonic Miners Bowl, and obviously, the long winning streak, there's always pressure on you to continue that. And people say different things about the rivalry, but bottom line, it's always going to be important when you play somebody that close in proximity. But I know you anticipate a hard-fought game. You mentioned how competitive they've been, and they haven't been far from winning some. They'd love to salvage their season here. So I know you feel it'll take a certain effort.
Oh, it's going to take a very good effort on our part. And they've shown that they've been able to move the ball up and down the field on people, and they've showed defensively they can stop anybody at any time. So it'll be a challenge for us on both sides. The thing that sticks out about them, there's no question their defensive line is extremely good. They run to the ball, they'll strike you. They do a good job on defense, and then offensively, Colin Howard's really started playing well here towards the end of the season. I think he was 21 of 29, something like that, this last weekend, and of course, Landon Zirkle's a leading receiver in the conference with receiving yards and receptions. I don't know if he still is after last weekend, but he's right at the top if he's not. And, they've got some other receivers. Threet's a very fast receiver. And so, they do some things that can really cause some problems offensively. And, again, defensively, they can play extremely good. And so we'll have our hands full.
And people talk about a great defense with maybe a playmaking linebacker and that, but when you play a team with a couple of disruptive linemen on defense, the way you want to run the ball and your philosophy, how big a concern is that it may not take much for them to be disruptive?
Well, we have to be smart about what we do, and, you just don't want to isolate one-on-one with a couple of those guys all the time, and so, have to change a thing or two, but it's not like he's the only one either. 66, Brandon Williams, who we're talking about, and then, their other tackle's awfully good as well. And so you can't just run away from him because there's another one over there that's pretty darn good too. And so I think they've done a tremendous job getting sacks and tackles for loss, and their linebackers run well, and their corners are good. So we will have to do a better job offensively of keeping them off balance, make sure that we take care of the ball, make sure that we don't allow penetration so we don't have a problem with the mesh like we did last week, and we have to get off to a better start.
Yeah, and it's a veteran Southern team as well, even 3-6. But again, they have some guys that are proven players. They're like everybody. They want some balance. Steven Sumter, their leading rusher. What kind of back is he?
He's a good, solid back. He had a couple of fumbles this last weekend, but he's like a lot of backs in the MIAA. You don't tackle him, he's going to go pick up some yards in a hurry. And He's only a sophomore, but he's played a lot of plays for him, and he's a very good back.
Another team you mentioned, Zirkle, 6'3", athletic kid from Webb City. You get a receiver like that, how big a concern? Because you might stop him on 2 downs again, but they can hook up for a quick one with him.
Well, he's a good route runner and has really good body control. He was a really good basketball player as well. But the thing about Landon and Colin is, that a lot of times Colin will break, contain, and there'll be a breakdown, and he'll get loose and then start running laterally. And then, he'll find a way to get it out there, and Landon will find a way to go get it.
Yeah.
And they've done that 100 times, And so, and that's really tough to defend when somebody scrambles and now all of a sudden they're off their route and they're ad-libbing a little bit. They do a really good job of that.
Yeah, that could be an equalizer, breaking off the route and those sorts of things. Hope to see you at Carney Smith Stadium Saturday, kickoff 2 o'clock. If you can't make it, we'll be on the air at 1. Pitt State Southern in the Sonic Miners Bowl Saturday. Coach, as always, thanks for your time. For Cam Koenig back in studio, I'm Eddie Lomshek. Thanks for being with us. Chiefs Kingdom comes your way at 7:05.